Hey, how's it going? So this is video number 2 in the world of didgeridoo, which started for me 30 years ago when I met a guy called Gary Thomas who'd been sent around the world to teach people to play didgeridoo. And we all began on cardboard tubes, and I loved it so much I was raving about it to a friend that night, and he said, you know what, I've got a 10-year-old branch of a cherry tree in my garden. We could cut it in half, chisel it out, put it together. And that's what we did that night, and we made one that night. And then I went back the next day, and somehow I took to it quite naturally. And he said, right, I'll teach you, you teach others. So that's how it all began for me. Since then I've made about 40 didgeridoos out of different hardwoods. I found a couple of natural didgeridoos in this country, one of which is here. This was found underneath Edinburgh Castle, where just on intuition, I've been researching the folklore of the rowan tree, and a cousin of the rowan tree is the ash tree. And underneath Edinburgh Castle, I found this beauty. This is after about 200 hours of work. Not just by me, but a friend, Phil Obermark, who's a master carver. And luckily this didgeridoo was pretty much hollow up to here. It was about that wide, so I had to trim it down, trim it down, trim it down. It had a hole in it there, which was actually lucky because that enabled us to drill it out for the bits that weren't hollowed out. And it was good, but it wasn't really good. It ended here, so I went back to where I found it and found another fallen part of the tree, which I drilled out here and drilled out there and added it together. And it's, you know, it's quite an iconic instrument here. It works pretty much as a calling horn. But it's good for very deep journeys. It's easy to play, and one of my pride and joys, I must say. What else? 3 hours of walking, 2 hours of carrying this one back. This is pine wood from the magical Roslin Glen in Edinburgh. Way! And there's probably, I don't know, 30, 40 hours of work in that. Every didgeridoo is unique. This place needs to be played. This one only gets played in nature for some reason. It just doesn't work in a city. And Didges are like that. They really are. Didges, hey, oh, there we go. Didges are like that. This one here, very lucky find in a car boot sale. Sold by a grandmother who got it from her grandmother, and she had it up in the attic for a long, long time. 10 quid. This one, this was plain when I bought it. You You know, if you look on eBay, you can find instruments that people have gone to Australia. This was plain, and I just decorated it by painting my hand and pressing onto it. Yeah, that's a beauty. 35 quid. When I first began playing didgeridoo, one of those would have been 280 quid. What else we got? Okay, this one was actually free. If you're ever buying a Didge, just look for a little curve like that, and whee, lucky. Oh yeah, don't store them next to radiators because they'll split. There's another tip. But pretty much if it starts small and bells out towards the end, it's going to be loud. One of the best Didges I've ever had. I'd actually found a branch of there's a tree called chien, which is like a French oak, and I'd made a split Didge, and I had it with me. It was pretty good, and I saw that one, and it had a hole in it. And I said to the shopkeeper, well, this doesn't work, I'll swap it for this one. He goes, fine. I just plugged it up and painted it up, and there we go. So it's pretty much, if you buy one Didge, it might be in the key of C or D to begin with, and you'll play it for a wee while, and you'll discover where the sound of C or D takes you. And when you're playing, really be aware of where you play, because the sound coming in your mouth is not the same as the sound coming out the end. Just watch this, okay? So this is a big open hallway, and if I play here, move in here, it's way different. A favourite place for learning Didge, other than being in nature, is the bathroom. I actually fill the bath with water, get in, prop my Didge up in the corner and play for hours. But you're going to get the best acoustics in your urban environment in the bathroom. However, it must be said, given that this is the instrument that celebrates the moment of conception in a way. So in the beginning there's nothing. There's no up, there's no left, there's no right, there's no past, there's no future, there's no light, there's just dark. Then something wakes up to the sound within itself, and when it wakes up to the sound within itself, its shape comes into existence. Your name of the rainbow serpent. Every scale a rainbow you see in the sky, its body 100,000 rainbows go singing its name through the womb of the cosmos. Yurlunga, Yurlunga, Yurlunga. I wasn't very creative until I started learning this didgeridoo, but after learning to play, it tapped me into the creative spark. And since then, I just gave it a go, you know. Yeah, turn up some nice things. So when you play, just remember, it's not just wingy-wongy sounds. You go through stages of learning the techniques, but you're playing the catalytic spark. So play with the focused intention of creating something. Otherwise, it gets lost in meaninglessness and disconnectedness from its original intent, and we kind of lose that in the West because we don't live as part of nature, but that's where it comes from. So pretty much every didgeridoo player I've ever met worth his salt has had the experience of going into nature and playing, and as you play, you imagine your mind travelling down the didgeridoo and into the earth, and you just hold the question of, what Great Mother, what is the song that created this place? And then a song gets pulled out of you, like you can't stop. You're being played by the instrument, and not, it's usually not a difficult rhythm. It's usually something really simple but profound that happens. And as you play, your body drops away, and you're just with it. And if you approach learning the instrument from that perspective, it will serve you well on the incredible journey that you're going to go on. And that's lesson 2.